Hello, everybody. Sanbonani, welcome to Reality Buzz TV. You guys, I know I did not announce that I was going to do this live, but I just thought I have time, so let me do it now. As usual, you guys, please confirm for me in the comment section if you can hear me because we had sound issues in the morning when we were doing the live in the morning. So I don't want to continue unless you say to me that you can hear me. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. There's somebody that has just liked the video on Facebook. Thank you so much. We are on YouTube, on Facebook, and at Twitter. We are going to talk about tonight's episode of Uthando Nesthembu. If you are one of those people that like to watch the show and then talk about it afterwards, this is the place for you. Okay. But if you are somebody that doesn't like to talk about abantu bakamseleko, then I guess you guys, this is not gonna be a fun video for you. Saying Mukwena, thank you so much for confirming that you can hear me loud and clear. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you joining me. Hi, the sound is very, oh, thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. Listen, you guys, as we watch Uthando Nesthembu, Auntie, ngicela ungehlisela bandla ilokhuzana i-TV. As we are watching this season of Uthando Nesthembu, guys, a lot is getting revealed. Kodwa ke, some of the things you're like, hey, ngathi Baba Mseleko is playing with us here because he knows the things that are going to get us talking. So, I mean, for an example, if he says, because I used kunezinto engazisebenzisa la, obviously he knows ukuthi abantu bazo-assume ukuthi he's talking about umuthi, maybe wadlisa amakhosikazi akhe. He knows ukuthi abantu are going to talk about him and ukuthwala, ukuthi maybe ubaba uMseleko uthwele. So sometimes, you guys, I feel like he does it on purpose because he knows ukuthi that is going to get us talking. So, we have to angazi masibuka, but ubuka kanje sometimes. I'll be like, I do take notes, you guys. So when I look this way, it's because I'm looking at my notes, because there are people that actually don't get to watch the episode. They just like to watch AMA reviews, rather. So we want things to make sense for those people. So if we just discuss things without explaining what was happening in a scene, it might not make sense for some people. Thank you so much for all 24 people that are hanging out with me now, you guys. Listen, am I the only one who felt like MaKhumalo is acting weird in her diary session? But so you guys, in this episode, for some reason they wanted to remind us ukuthi there was a time when MaKhumalo wanted a white wedding, and then I remembered MaKhumalo konjaga kashadi, you guys, because the ceremony that they had last season was umembeso. So they haven't had umshado. Okay, so they reminded us there was a time when MaKhumalo was preparing for a white wedding, and then Umacele was like, no, there are things that Baba Mseleko needs to do for me first. So imshado ayime. You remember that time? So they reminded us of that for some reason before the episode started, you guys. But I like the fact that tonight we did get to understand the reason of not going to the wedding. I felt like I understood it, you guys, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand it, because every time they talk about it, people will be like, she should have just gone to the wedding, So we're going to talk about that as well, you guys. Now, Umseleko calls a meeting with all of his wives, okay? It's been long since we had a meeting, you guys, because usually he will have a lot of meetings with his wives during the season. If they're going on a trip with his wives, he will call them and talk about it. Whatever decision that he is taking, he'll be calling them. So this season, this is like a second meeting, if I'm not mistaken, that he's calling his wives. And he wants to tell them, Mogoti, he's handing over umsebenzi wamadlozi, umsebenzi wabaphansi to Mpumelelo noLwandle, or Olwandle are the ones that are going to work now with umsebenzi wakamseleko, which some of us don't understand. But if you remember, you guys, in season 1, if we are going to season 1, those who have access to Showmax, because it is there, umseleko used to be ngizothini umthandazi omelaphi. I remember going to this house where bekunengane ngakwazi ukuhamba, and he was I guess praying for a child, wathi ucela kuhlatshwe kube nenyongo, something like that, but ubelapha in season 1. And then season 2, season 3, then they never talked about it, and we never knew what happened to Baba Mselegu being umthandazi. Also, when the show started, isaqala nje show, they would refer to Umselegu as umfundisi when they are writing articles about him, like newspaper article, they would write ukuthi umfundisi. And then as the time went, you guys, yaphela indaba yokuthi umfundisi. So I don't know what happened to that. So now we found out this season ukuthi he used to alapha abantu with a certain, I don't know if it was his brother or a cousin, but it was somebody that is an uncle to Ompumelelo, and they messed up somehow. But asazi ukuthi kwenzekani, ukuthi bamess up kanjani asazi. Umsamo kushuthi kwaba khona into wrong eyenzeka emsamo. So now Ompumelelo noLwandle have to take over. So that's what he's telling his wife ukuthi it's going to happen, you guys. I don't know. Umacele, at some point, she was laughing about the situation and she's like, "Kwangiphinda logo," but then she's not explaining ukuthi why esho kanjalo. So I was confused. Is she happy it's going to happen? Is she not happy it's going to happen? Umayeni arrived late at the meeting, you guys. I'm sure she was busy playing Ilokuzana. What's again? Candy Crush. Yeah, guys, she was coming from work. So she arrives late. Obviously, Mamsela was not impressed, but her opinion Gamayen, because obviously we're interested to hear what Umayeni and Umacele think, because this is it's their children who are going to be continuing with umsebenzi wokulapha, yabo. So you guys, Umayeni thinks they are too young. Are they able to handle it? But she's also saying maybe he knows. Gifts. Basically, what she's saying is like, listen, I don't know if Mpumelelo has a gift or not, but I guess if Musa thinks he has a gift, then he has a gift. I don't know, you guys, because I haven't heard Mpumelelo talk about a gift too a lot. Okay, I know he was on Gokos Koteni's podcast. They say he talked about it there. For some reason, I just couldn't watch that interview, you guys. I felt like it was boring from the beginning, so I didn't watch the whole of it. But they're saying that he did speak about having a gift on Gokos Koteni's podcast. Ulwandle, guys, he hardly says anything, so I just can imagine him esebenza with Mpumelelo belapha abantu. Angazi, guys, is not make sure, but it's going to be happening. So then kuthiwa fanele kugezwe kumsamo and all of that before they can work. Now, you guys, he mentions, I don't know, you guys, but I feel like Umselegu unuka one of his wives. Ukunuka, angazi, guys, those who don't understand it's Zulu. Ukunuka ngesiZulu is if umuntu, you are saying to umuntu is doing witchcraft. So if umuntu uyathakatha ngesiZulu sithi uyamnuka umuntu. If I say umuntu ilwana uyathakatha uyamnuka. So I feel like ubaba Umselegu unuka one of his wives, and I do suspect ukuthi uMaNgwabe. And people have said in the comment section ukuthi they do suspect ukuthi uMaNgwabe, because he has said this before, where he says ukuthi there is a wife that uses umuti in the yard, and the wife keeps bringing izinto that they're not supposed to do, egcekeni and all of that. Now, every time he talks about this issue, MaKhumalo gets almost excited about it, in the diary session. And MaKhumalo will be agreeing with him, yes. Vele, Ubaba has said this before, there's someone who's using umuti lana, and that person knows themselves. So vele go wrong ukuthi umuntu ayo asebenzise imithi. Now, you guys, I'm like, maybe this is the reason. Remember, we don't know what happened between uMaKhumalo no MaNgwabe for them to stop being friends. Besides, because it's not easy to get along with someone. But I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons the friendship fell apart, because Umselegu always speaks as if uMaNgwabe, who is bringing imithi to this isithembu sakhe, to ikhaya likaMselegu, even though he doesn't say it directly, but it always feels like yabola ukhuluma ngoMaNgwabe. And then uMaKhumalo always agrees with him ukuthi yeah, vele khona leyo nto leyo. It has been said before ukuthi there's someone oletha imithi kaMselegu. Now, my question is, if the only person that sees izangoma kaMselegu is uMaNgwabe, how did Umselegu no MaKhumalo find out ukuthi there was a person who's bringing imithi kaMselegu if they didn't go bayobona kumuntu? Because it sounds to me like bahamba bayohlola, and maybe sangoma sathi, guys, there is someone egcekeni who is suspicious, who's using whatever, or who brought something to igceke. And when they made the calculation, they realized, it feels to me like umangwabi. I'm surprised that umangwabi is always calm about it, or maybe she knows ukuthi it's not her, nayakazi ukuthi it's her, but she never really answers. She will just keep quiet every time that they say that, you guys. So I felt like maybe that is the reason if friendship kaMaKhumalo kanye noMangwabe it fell apart. Okay. So then umsele says some weird things about ukuthi it's possible ukuthi mhlambe I go and I see someone mhlambe ngiphethwe isibhobo, mhlambe I'm not feeling well, and then I go see someone and then they give me something and then I bring it kamsele and then it affects other people and all of that. So now we have to make sure all of those things are cleansed and all of that. But it was that whole thing. It's a weird thing, you guys, and I think that's the thing that really made people, especially on Facebook, for people to talk more about their feeling that possibly uthwele, because what is this ritual that he keeps talking about that they need to do with the boys so that the boys bezolapha abantu, when we didn't even know what the boys were able to balapha abantu. Now Umangwabe was just irritated, you guys. We know Umangwabe is just irritated. Mangwabe was like, listen, he could have called us, Mangwabe is busy, you guys. Oh, Nesbahla's be busy. Nesbahla's be busy. And maybe she's coming from his shift and in Jena, and Mangwabe this season she's minding her own business. So she's like, listen, Lendo Tangabe is funny. Was there a need for him to call a meeting? And they didn't have much to say in that meeting. They just listened to Umsele explaining what was going to happen. But you guys, Khumalo's energy was off during the diary session. I don't know. We have to figure that out. What's happening there? Then the next thing it was Umacele no Abo, they're going out because they really just spending time together. Abo is back from a job, you guys. Listen, Macele, I thought I was strict as a parent, but I'm like, yo. So Macele is asking, there's something that Abo had said about bringing down the roof, having fun in Joburg. So there is the thing now. I guess they are worried. Maybe she must be having too much fun in Joburg or something. And they were hanging out. It was nice. I thought they're just going to relax and have some fun and joke. Like joke around, Jena, with your child, and all of that. MaKhumalo is like, we are puzzle goal. I'm at drugs. What do you go to clubs? Nenzani emaklabini. And then she says, she's next time Abo comes back from Joburg, they're going to do like a test where she's going to get tested for alcohol and drugs and what. I'm like, hey, Bo. Guys, do parents, maybe I'm not doing this, guys, tell me, maybe I need to be doing it. Do parents just randomly do like alcohol and drug test on their kids when their kids are just like looking like the most behaved kids? Because Abo looks like she doesn't really even do much in Joburg. She did say in her interview that she struggles to make friends. When she was being interviewed on Lungelo Mdletshe's channel, she said she is not somebody that is out there. It takes time for her to get to know people and all of that. So she looks like a well-behaved child, okay? Compared to Abon Pomelelo and Osne, she looks like the one that doesn't really bother Umacele that much. But Umacele is like, next time we're going to do a drug test. I'm like, hi, Bo. I thought that was crazy, you guys. I thought that it was crazy for Macele to say, good now, all of a sudden she's going to do a drug test. But yeah, guys, people are allowed to parent the way that they want to parent. I think even though Abo said that she feels like it's too much, she feels like if you've told her, no, you're not allowed to do this, you're allowed to do that, while you're in Joburg, she will listen. She doesn't need to go to Mutayisho all the time, and even as a test, doesn't need that, but she will do it if she needs to. I guess she knows she doesn't get into a lot of these things that they don't want her to get into. And then you guys, they talk about public transport. How does she get around in Joburg? She said we are request in Joburg. I guess she's using e-hailing service or Bolt, Nabo Uber, because she struggles with using public transport. And I can say it, you guys, because obviously, the family is well off. They've always spoken about the kids having transport from home to school, and then weekends when they go out, they are transported. No driver at some point. Remember, Ubaba MaKhumalo was the driver at some point. So I can understand how those kids might not be familiar with using public transport, which is always a good idea to teach your child to use public transport. To get around with just a taxi, because as much as the e-hailing service is very convenient in terms of like it takes you from this point to that point, but there are times when I feel like yes, good taxi, the one you go to a taxi rank to get is safer than e-hailing service. The way that there's been horrible and like horrifying stories, Zamat Zo driver be Bolt, what they do to young girls. So sometimes I feel like more okay with my daughter taking it actually than taking a Bolt. Bolt, I'm like more nervous. But she was saying she wants them to learn to use the public transport. She wants to go on a taxi with them, which Abo doesn't understand. I think Umacala, it's very important to her that her kids remain humble. And maybe she's thinking, listen, maybe we're not always going to be able to afford things. We may never know. So she doesn't want her kids to be those kids that will not know what to do in life if there's no car. If there's ever going to be a time where kungabi nemoto, then umuntu akasazi usenze njani. Makuthiwa no, hambe stopini ukhomba itaxi and uthi uye endaweni ethile, and then the person doesn't know what to do. But I do understand if they've never had that experience, where would they know? Joburg is even crazier. Like if you think I'm a taxi rank, I say Tegwini or Mzumbe are crazy, go to Joburg. Then you're like, okay. It's another level when you get to the taxi rank. So I can totally understand how it can be overwhelming for her. But Macela says, I don't know if she's too late, you guys, but I guess she can still teach them, because she says even though Owami doesn't want to use taxis and intimidated by using taxis, but she can still teach them. Now, you guys, listen. I've said ukuthi kunama-scenes la on the season of Uthando Nesthembu that I feel like are short specifically to respond to viewer backlash. Of course, Ubaba Mseleko gave the cards to the boys, and there was a conversation about, okay, you gave cards to the boys, what are you gonna do with the girls? And also there's been conversations about how he treats his girls different from his boys. So there are questions about that. So this scene right here of him giving the gift of the phones to his girls was quite interesting, because I feel like he's responding. He wants us to feel like, oh, okay, namantombazane, he treats them special like the boys. But even in this scene, you're like, yeah. So, okay. Now it's the three girls, you guys. It's Owami, it's Umawande Kamangwabe, Owami Kamacele, Umawande Kamangwabe, and then it's Uthando Nesthembu. I think they're around the same age, because there's always the three of them. Even with the virginity testing, it was the three of them that went. Now he's bought them phones, nice Samsung phones, you guys. Not like high end, whatever. Just maybe my phones, maybe I would say like 3,000 to 4,000. Good phones to buy for umntwana. But so he gives them the phones. So the girls are there, and then umnini is there. But the phones were for the girls. So he had bought the phone for the girls. He gives the phones to the girls. And I'm looking at these girls and I'm like, hey, oh my God, Dad bought us a phone. The kids are like, okay, thanks, Dad. They're like, hey, thank. I guess if you just saw your brother receive a car and then you receive a 3,000, 4,000 rands phone, you are going to be like, hey, yeah, ngiyabonga nami, And in that stage, you guys, it's a teenagehood where they're very hard to please. But I was like, hey, but why are they not happy? You can even pretend to be happy when your parent gives you something like that. Now, this is an interesting part. He hadn't bought a phone for Umnini because Umnini wanted a keyboard. And he says, you are going to get a keyboard, but I bought the phones for the girls. But Umnini is almost in tears because now he wants the phone, okay? Now, Mseleko is looking at them like, aren't you guys happy? Okay, let me point out this one, you guys, before I forget. He also bought the phone for Uthando. which I think is a good thing, you guys, because Mseleko has come very far when it comes to Uthando. He has come far. Remember, he never used to want anything to do with Uthando. He even said at some point, listen, if this child needs something, ningangithinti, it's not my responsibility. Uthando inganigasne, it's not my responsibility. So if I think of something, Machele, you will have to make a plan. It's, it's not my problem. Machele, 2 episodes ago, did say that Umselegu sometimes will do things with Owami and the other kids and leave out Uthando because Uthando is Ne's child. That's why I'm saying this scene right here was a response to viewers' backlash in terms of how he's treating his girls. So he made sure to buy for Uthando. So I think it's a good thing. But even that Thando was not very happy to receive that phone. Okay. Now, Oami explains to say, Baba, I already have a phone, and the phone that I have is like higher than this one. I guess when she was saying what's in Kulu, le ingaphansi, in terms of standard model and all of that. You could see actually this one is like a lower model than the one I have. I was surprised that Ubamsele doesn't know the phone that Owame has, but then he does have a lot of kids. If you have 10 kids, you might miss it. Okay. And it says something, you guys. Did you know your children already had phones and you didn't know what phones they had? But I guess because then if you point out things like that, the viewers get upset because sometimes that's an indication that when you have many kids, it's hard to pay individual attention to each child so that you know their needs. And he didn't know the kind of phone that these kids have at this point. That's why he got the phones that he got, which the kids were not so impressed by because they already have better phones. So it ends up being like that phone ended up being given to Umnini because obviously Oam is like, what am I going to do with this phone? Because I already have a nicer phone. So they gave the phone to Umnini. Umnini was so happy. I loved it. Okay. I feel like Umnini ngati he was as happy as Ulwandle getting the car, because he had changed his mind. Now he was like, yeah, I know I'm going to get a keyboard, but I also want a phone. So when he got the phone, he was as happy as Ulwandle getting the car, which I liked, you guys. The girls were more like, you know. Now, when Umselego, because Umnini was excited, was more grateful for the phone, Umselego ends up saying, listen, because you're so happy to get this phone, I'm still going to buy you a keyboard. Now the girls are complaining and saying, but how come he's getting a phone and a keyboard when we were only going to get a phone? So Umnini ends up saying, okay, fine, because I got the phone, when I get the keyboard, then I'm going to share it with you. That's how complicated your life can be as Tenjin. Okay, you're not only dealing with the wives that want all sort of things, but you're also dealing with the kids that are all teenagers at the same time. The hormones, the attitudes, and you have to think about that while you are trying to meet their needs. Okay. So yeah, guys, the phone scene was not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. Let me read a few comments and then get back to the review. Hi, Lindy. Hi, everybody. Hope I'm not late. You're not late. We're doing a very late live, you guys. I don't know if some of you are still waking up to go to work tomorrow. Hey, kuzovukeka yini ekuseni masifane sivuke. Good. Go to MTN text and in job. You'll get. I know. There is Brine and then there's Nord. Oh, Kosiam, Jesus, I remember. I remember. And then the park station, for some reason, the park station every city has a bus station. Even in Durban, we have Durban station. But when you go to park station in Joburg, it's like, so it can be very overwhelming when you just moved to Joburg. They're still young and should appreciate what their father gave them, but I feel like they are obligated to, as a father, is a rich man, this is something for real. Listen, you guys, if I gave my child a phone like that and they were not appreciative, I definitely would take it back. And them getting it back, it would depend on their behavior, for me. But I think that I don't know. I feel like Musa was caught off guard because he really thought it was going to be this great scene where his girls were going crazy about this phone. But it's part of just the sign that he if he was paying attention, he would have known that they already had these phones. But they are ungrateful, you guys, because I think they just should have just pretended to be happy, and then maybe later on be like, "Hey, Baba, got time? I already have a phone somehow, you know." So it wasn't a nice thing to watch him having done that for them, and they're like, "Oh, no, no, we don't appreciate that." Okay, and then at work, if 4 o'clock can't come soon enough, God, I'm within, I can dance. Can't you go a peaceful sunset if you're at work at 4 p.m.? Which country are you at? Okay, it's what time is it? Almost it's 25 past 9 at night. Yeah. The kids could have just said thank you. Yeah, man. I mean, I was disappointed, you guys. I was disappointed by all of them. Because even Umawanda, I didn't hear her say thank you, but it's like Oami was more like more she expressed her being unsatisfied with the phone. And then Uthando was just sitting there. She just put the phone in front of her, and you know, it was like, "Hey, bo, rich kids." Hi guys. But yeah, it didn't work, you guys. Now the interesting scene comes, okay? Now, you guys, we get a scene between Omangwabe no Macele. Listen, this one is also a response scene in a sense that I think MaKhumalo has seen that a lot of people just don't understand why she did not go to she did not go to Makhumalo. Macele did not go to MaKhumalo's members. So she felt like, you know what, I need to sit down and explain this to somebody, and I'm not going to explain it to MaKhumalo because they already tried to have a sit down and it did not work out well. They were just not understanding they were not understanding each other. So so her best bet, and obviously if she called Umayeni would be like, listen, umoshela isikhathi ngingenaphi mina ukuthi awuyanga, and Umayeni would be like, hey, ungimoshela isikhathi mina ngingenaphi ukuthi awuyanga emshadweni kaMaKhumalo, kumembezo kaMaKhumalo. So you guys, obviously Umangwabe was her best bet. And also you guys, I do feel like recently Umacele no Mangwabe are getting along for some reason. You guys remember they were the two that went and took the kids out to the zoo not so long ago, just few scenes ago. Yeah, I think they're getting along right now. Okay, now they're going out to get Umacele no Mangwabe, and they get to sit down and say, listen, I want to explain to you why I did not go to Makhumalo's wedding. Initially, you guys, I'm like, how weird is that? How weird is it that Umacele is explaining to Mangwabe why she did not go to Makhumalo's wedding? I'm like, shouldn't you be explaining to MaKhumalo? But I was like, you know what? Because vele ngiyawufuna lo mgosi finally ukuthi uchazwe. Let me just listen, okay? So now she says, okay, guys, let me read my notes because I don't want to miss anything, okay? So she says, when she got married, you guys, she wasn't wearing a wedding dress. Well, I mean, I thought it was a wedding dress when I looked at those photos, Zabo. She wasn't wearing a white wedding dress. She was wearing a ball gown when she got married to Umseleko. The reason she had done that is because it was a rush wedding, because bebeshadela ukuthi bekufanele kwenze umsebenzi kamama kaMseleko, and she wasn't allowed ukuthi aye kaMseleko ayohlala khona participate ey'ntweni zakhona engashadile, and bese bembesile and all of that. So they just thought, let's do that, you know. And they were supposed to do the white wedding, everything later on, okay? And then, you guys, an interesting question comes from Umangwabe, because Umangwabe will expose her husband. That's why Ubaba is always trying to put Umangwabe as a bad person on this show, because he doesn't want us to listen to Umangwabe. But Umangwabe is the one that gets us the tea when it comes to Umseleko. She asked an interesting question that all of us have been asking. She says, listen, tell me this. Did Musa tell you before you got married ukuthi ufuna isithembu? Umacele is like, no. She says, no, that wasn't told to me. Umangwabe in the direct section is like, yeah, that's an interesting one, because Umseleko, that's the thing that he always says, that he told Umacele. And it's when people are coming from Macele, they always say, why did she get married to someone Nesthembu if if the other wives are there, She says, no, she did not know. Now, there is a lie somewhere, you guys, because Mseleko says ukuthi he told Umacele. That's the reason he took Umacele as the first wife, because he always says he did not take Umayeni as the first wife because Umayeni didn't want Isthembu. Nabantu bakubo didn't want Isthembu. So he took Umacele as the first wife. Now, Umacele is like, I did not know. Into Yesthembu, it's something that came later on. And remember, you guys, it makes sense because Umacele has said, because even when they got married, they got into the civil marriage. I hope I'm not confused. There's customary, civil. Customary, you can take the second wife. Civil, you can't. They got into a civil marriage. That's why Umacele had to go back and change it to customary, because you guys, Umseleko wanted to take the wives. Because if she already knew that Umseleko wanted this temple, why would she agree to get into, why would they get into a civil marriage? Okay. Hopefully, I'm not confusing the two. Okay. But as long as you know the one is the one where you cannot take another wife, the other one you can take another wife. Okay. And I think it's customary, that one. So now you guys, so should they get married? But now there are promises that were made between Umacele Nomseleko now when it came to now Umseleko taking Isthembu. Okay. Now the white wedding was supposed to be done, remember, after 20 years, after their 20th anniversary. But the condition was with Isthembu now, when now they were negotiating Isthembu, he must have taken all of the wives by 20 years. So Umacele was like, I'm giving you 20 years to take as many wives as you want so that you can have the 20 kids that you want, because I cannot have 20 kids. Remember, she said that there was the thing that convinced her initially with Isthembu, because he was like, there's no way that I'm going to have 20 kids for this man. So then she was like, okay, you have 20 years to take as many wives as you want. And then after that, that's it. I don't want to hear conversations about marriages. I don't want to hear conversations about anything about you taking a wife, lobolang, I'm done. Then we are supposed to now go and do our wedding, our white wedding, and then everything is closed. Okay. Now, you guys, coming back to Membeso MaKhumalo, she says, Masekufika uMembeso kaMaKhumalo comes after the 20 years. Now, Umseleko doesn't go back to say, listen, the promise that I made to you, let me give it to you now, because you allowed me to take all of these wives and I had promised to give you a white wedding at 20 years. Let me give it to you. That never happens. But on her side, Pelayena, she was still standing by what they agreed on, which is that after 20 years, she's not attending anything that has to do with the wedding because the wives were supposed to have been taken before the 20 years. That's why she did not go to MaKhumalo. Also now, when it's time for members of MaKhumalo, Umseleko changes the conditions and says, listen, we can't count the first 10 years because that was before I took the other wives. So it was supposed to be Umseleko taking all the wives, then they start counting the 20 years. And Umacele is like, no, it's 20th anniversary. Silver Umseleko. Isigebengu kade asho kade asho mangabathi le ndoda lena isile. So Umseleko is like, no, it's 20 years, but we're not counting the first 10 years. Okay. Now she says, and then he also says to MaKhumalo, because MaKhumalo serves her, because I guess when Umacele needs something, is the wife that helps her a lot, and she's supposed to go. But she says, remember, I never went to anything anywhere, even before that. I've never gone to any of your things. So why would I be going to any event now? That is her explanation, you guys. Okay. Anyway, that is it. I hope what people understand Umacele now and stop coming for Umacele. Okay. If you now listen, I'm giving you 10 years to take the wives that you want. After 10 years, I'm not doing it. After 10 years, you're not gonna do it. Okay. So I get Umacele there, you guys. Now, you guys, there's a preview. A preview. It's in. Preview meaning what we're gonna see next episode. MaKhumalo is going to be sitting with Umangwabe and gossiping about Umayeni. Kusazoba rough because Umayeni is not going to take that. And she says, Umayeni, you know, when you try to talk to Umayeni about things, she dismisses things. And in a way, she's very delusional. I'm loving Uthando Nesthembu, you guys, because the more seasons they do, the more we see the true colors of everybody. People have been saying Umangwabe is the evil one, Umayeni is the evil one. People are about to see the true characters of the people. I can't wait for the next season, for the next episode, you guys. And I'm just wondering, it respond because when she says that, it responds Gamangwa was like sipping the drink that was in front of her, because I'm sure she's like, hey, okay. So ngikhuluma kanje umuntu mangekho. It was interesting, you guys. So let me see. Let me just read the comments, you guys. And it's late. It's almost, oh no, it's not 10 yet. Okay, we still have time. Okay. I love how Nino was grateful and happy to have a phone. I loved it, you guys. I did love that. Okay. When you do something for your kids, you want to see that your child is happy and grateful. Otherwise, it's like it's very discouraging for a parent when they don't show that. These kids never appreciated anything anyway. I remember on their kids' show, Umnini would take them out and they would still complain about some. I never watched that show, you guys. I was like, I watched enough of them Selegu family. Yeah, but it wasn't nice that they were not happy about the phone. I never watched the smaller kids show. Only Ingan is a temple, but not the ones Zomnini here on YouTube. No, I never watched that one. And hi Dando, Space Sitle, hello, Space Sitle, I'm doing it. Hi Space joining us from Facebook. Oh yes, Space. Babe, uSipheulana. Hayi Dando, kade ngiyibona nje lento kaMseleko, but ukuthengela izingane zamantombazane amafoni hayi izosondeza izinto eduze ebekade zikude nazo, but they already have phones. They already have phones, Space. So kuyafana nje, kuyafana. Hey, they will find a way zokusondeza izinto ley'ngane. Lindy says, I think the problem is their husband. It shows that he sometimes talk wrong things when he's with either of them. So said, yes, guys, I've said this, okay? And people didn't like it. Mselego is messy. Mselego is the one that likes the wives to fight. I think when your wives fight as a man, you can get away with a lot because you can still talk about this one to this one and talk about this one to this one, you know? And when they are united, they can just call each other. You know, and things can be solved very quick. I think it works for him that the wives don't get along. So he can say shady things to the other wife about the other wife. So I think it works for him when they don't get along. If they really got united, then it could work against him. Remember how they united when they didn't want to number 5. It didn't work for him. I think she explained to Mangwabe so that Mangwabe wouldn't expect her to come to her ceremony. That's possible, Tembelihle. She's saving herself the admin of having to explain herself again later on. I think so, you guys, because they are kind of sort of preparing for Mangwabe's umembe. So remember, Mangwabe is building a house at home, and she says that until that house is done, so when that home is done, she's building a house here, Kubo. Somewhere next to Kamseleko. So when it's done, that's where Umembes is going to go. So they're preparing for that. That makes sense, Tembelihle, that maybe she just thought, listen, especially because they're getting along with Umangwabe. She was like, you know what? Instead of me having the same issue that I had with my MaKhumalo, where she did not understand and she was hurt, let me explain in advance. Okay, so that would make sense too. You guys misinterpret Macele so much. If only you could listen to her. Listen. I like Mangwabe and Macele. I like different wives at different points, but I do like Mangwabe is like my ultimate favorite. She's the wife that I can relate to the most. Like if I don't like something, I don't like something. You know, the whole world could be happy, but if I understand into, I understand. You know, so Mangwabe, even when every single wife is happy about something, and then I understand. I understand. I understand the you know, and I like that about her. Listen, uh, no, tell us, tell us in the comment section what we are not understanding about, what we are misinterpreting with Macel. Lindy Botiwe said, true, Tembelile, and Peaceful Sunset says, I like Macele and Mangobe's relationship. I do, you guys, but they've had their own. Remember when they were fighting at the trip because Umangobe didn't say hello to Macele's kids? It's terrible, guys. Kulwela in nothing, they seem to be of the same heart and understanding. Also, Inoba Umusa waba in ways that the other two were not. Different is that Macele forgives quickly. Yeah, Macele does forgive because Musa can be just as horrible to Macele as he is to Umangwabe. So maybe Macele is more forgiving. But for me, Macele shouldn't act on other wives through her husband's mistakes. She wants them to feel she's the first wife. It's really sad how these women live. They don't get along. I mean, I don't think they should be expected to get along. I wish someone could understand this, Tenjini. Just have a situation where it's not like I hate you, but I don't want to hang out with you. I don't think there would ever be a time where I want to hang out with, the same way that you don't want to hang out with your husband's ex. You just don't want to, It's the same way that, why should you be forced to hang out with your sister wife? It's okay, they're there at their house. But you know, to find anybody bestie. I don't understand that now. I just feel like it's a difficult thing to expect women to do. It's already enough that you've said yes to his team, but now you have to get along with the person, Musa must fix this mess. I wonder if he's going to, because I think he likes it. Perhaps Mtombeni should have asked the children which phones they like. Bazokutshela ngama-iPhones what latest. Bazokutshela ngama-latest iPhones, the kids, your storytelling technique, though, on point. I was saying hello. I always say that if you watch my reviews, you must be somebody that likes to talk about the show because other people will come and complain. But you talk about everything that happened on the show. I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point of a review. Thank you, Ntabisang. I appreciate that. MaKhumalo yini inkinga yakhe kancane kancane yavela yinami. I feel like in this episode I'm like, MaKhumalo kwenzekani ngawe manje, I definitely feel like she feels like Kono Tagatayo between the wives because she's always on that tip. Yeah, what landa imit kwanjani. I already seen the true characters here, already see. Yes, we are seeing them now. I understand why Mayeni doesn't like MaKhumalo. The lady is forever saying stuff about Mayeni, and then she expects Mayeni to be nice to her, delicious version 2.0. To be honest with you, somebody said to me, have you ever noticed Mayeni has never really said anything bad about MaKhumalo? But MaKhumalo has had things to say about Umayeni. But then people think Umayeni hates MaKhumalo. It's a weird thing. People think Umayeni hates MaKhumalo, but MaKhumalo has said more things about Umayeni than Umayeni. It's like MaKhumalo likes Umayeni, but she's the one that says things about Umayeni. Umayeni hates MaKhumalo, but she hardly says anything about MaKhumalo. She avoids saying things about MaKhumalo. But I think Mayeni is going to be doing a therapy session next week, and she'll be telling some stuff, okay? Okay? There's no way, guys, you can do 7 seasons of the show and be able to act for us and act like you're this perfect family. At some point, the cracks, one season you see this crack, the next we see that, the next one you see that crack. Ask Cody, who watches Sister Wives. The whole stamp now is Slipizegile. He's left with just one wife, okay? Because they shoot the show, they watch themselves on the show, they say things about each other. The next season, the relationships are fractured, and then they continue with it. And then the next season, they're even more fractured, and then it's the kids, and then it's this, and then it's that, and then it just falls apart eventually. So I hope that it doesn't happen with this family. But Lungis Bia said, Anale mentality yoguti. Unale mentality, it's an English word. Unale mentality yoguti umsele uthanda yena kakhulu. and people have said it. People have said MaKhumalo is the favorite. I think MaKhumalo is the easiest wife to get along with. It's easy to get along with MaKhumalo because MaKhumalo is very accommodating and hardly ever says no to anything that Umselegu wants. And I mean, what wife calls the husband and say, Baba, ngicela imvume yakho to ask you where you are? What wife does that? Sana sam, ngingakubuza ukuthi ukuphi? Ya, ungangibuza. Ukuphi? Nami ngamthanda lo nkosikazi. Ngiyamthanda. UMaKhumalo even said ukuthi when uMselegu noMangwabe were dating, she used to have uMangwabe at her house, spend time with Umselegu in another room while she's in another room. Who wouldn't like that wife? You know, of course, that's going to be your favorite wife. Of course, you guys. Of course, she's going to be your favorite wife. Okay. Oh, she lets you spend time with your girlfriend. Every man wants that wife. Okay. Sister wife was a mess. It's even more of a mess now. But I'm glad that they've left now. Christine is married and happy. And what's the other one? It's Christine. It's Mary. Janelle. Janelle just lost her son, guys, on Sister Wives. Janelle's firstborn son, I believe that he committed, took his life with a GUN, and because he was going through depression. So tea is coming out, and I do watch Sister Wives. You're too much. It's too much. It's too. It's too much, Lindy. Yeah, it's too much. But it's a fascinating show. It's like you want to watch. You want to watch the mess while it's getting even more messy. Guys, if you get a chance to watch Sister Wives, I think there are people posting episodes here. It's fascinating. Even now as the wives are leaving one by one, but they're still shooting the show. And I know I agree with you 100%. MaKhumalo has a soft spot in everything. She will help himself with everything. So, and I think that's another thing that the other wives probably don't like, because she lets himself get away with everything when he's with her. And Thembelihle kambe what did Thembelihle say? Ntabiseng says MaKhumalo could act. That is the thing with her. Her acting like they are buddies with Mselego is so cringe. I mean, I don't want to talk about MaKhumalo anymore because people come for me when I try to explain my true thoughts on what's going on with her. Anyway, you guys, that's a thing, you guys. There was the episode today. I guess we're looking forward to next episode. For me, the highlight, I guess it was just Umacele getting to explain. I think they're going to continue with that scene next episode. Mhlampe Mangwabe is going to ask more questions where she gets to just finally explain herself. And also the other highlight was the thing of Yomoti, the fact that baya nugana khona la kaMseleko. Okay, I wonder where that storyline is going to go. Anyway, you guys, that was the episode. This is episode 8. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. I appreciate so much everybody that hang out with me today. We had quite a few people from Facebook, and we appreciate that so much, you guys. Make sure that you are subscribed to all of the channels. I have done Ledger on Ledger on Facebook, done Ledger on YouTube, but I'm also Reality Buzz TV. The reviews are on Reality Buzz TV on YouTube. And then on Facebook, it's in Tandom Ledger. So whether I go live here or on Tandom Ledger, the Facebook is the same Facebook I go live in. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching this review. I appreciate it so much. Like the video before Pumagiona, share it with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers in Tanda. Kakul.